Well, waiting. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Tracy Show that's on Thursdays. After a couple of other candidates that I had to kind of work around their schedule, I'm finally glad that I got someone here that's actually could show up on Thursday. Before I let him introduce himself, I got a whole series of bills to pay. So we're going to get to the. Remember to subscribe to this page. Subscribe to this page. I have told everybody I keep losing um, subscribers. I've gone from 142 to 136, and now I'm down to 135. Please subscribe. It literally costs you nothing. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. And I'm going to say it one more time. Subscribe. Because I want my 1,000 this year so bad. But it didn't look like it's going to happen. But I'm going to do my best to get there. So, also, you can support this channel at buymeacoffee.com/TRACYMedia LLC. You can support just one time, or you can support at $2 a month. You get the Saturday show in its entirety. You just get to see the whole thing and not the edited version. Please subscribe to my Rumble channel. I'm still thinking about moving at least one of the shows to Rumble, but before I can do my podcast there solely, I need 4 other subscribers. So head on over to Rumble, like Tracy Media on Facebook. And of course, I don't have it up here, but you can always visit my website at TRACYMedia LLC at Gmail. Oh my goodness, I'm giving out my email. My website is TRACYMediaLLC.com. So, after all of that struggle that I just went through, I'm going to let our guest introduce himself and tell us what office he is running for. You are on mute.
All right. I am from the dirtiest of the dirty. The rest of the South ain't got it like this. Last up to the podium, Mississippi in this. I mean, just the name alone will send chills down your spine. I can't stand her sometimes, but she mine. You see, some cats move away and go soft in the city. Your hardest wouldn't last 10 minutes in Mississippi. We got dirty cops, we got crooked judges, we got black on black crime, and don't get it twisted, the Klan is still alive. My name is Artis, Burney, and today I'm representing Mississippi. And I'm the District 51 candidate for Senator of District 51 in Jackson County, Mississippi.
So you're running for state senator, not United States senator.
That's right, state senate.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Because I thought U.S. senator. I'm like, okay, that's how you do it. But hey, that's how you do it at the local level also. So
that's right.
Always ask this question. Very first one. I'm going to say, and the audience knows I'm lying when I say this, I have tried my hardest to keep these interviews to 45 minutes. I have yet to be successful because I tend to ask a lot of questions. And if our audience is out there and they have questions, you can either put them in the comment section during the show or even after the show if you put your comments in the comment section, which I never get comments, but that's okay. Just put them there and we'll reach out to Artis and make sure he gets them. So my first question to you is, why run for that particular office at that district? Why run for that office? I'll just ask a question like that.
Because I feel like in a lot of ways, in a lot of areas, my county is underachieving. And it's because of the leadership in this particular position of Senator District 51 in Jackson County. A lot of decisions that get made and go through this office are, to me, and a lot of folks that agree with me, my base, I guess you would call it, are holding the community, holding the community back. Issues with like Southern Company, issues with Chevron, big energy companies here that are polluting the environment, and they're not being held accountable. And those decisions go directly through the brother that's Senator of District 51 right now. And that's one reason why I'm running, is because I feel like we can do a better job here in Jackson County.
Now, hold on, let me turn myself off mute. What I know we just talked about what made you decide, but there's other offices you could have ran for. You could have ran for city council, you could have ran for mayor, you could have ran for even governor. Why this particular office? What makes this particular office different?
This particular office, because I deal directly with Jackson County. Now, if I were dealing with and I live in a place, we don't have a mayor. I live in a really rural area, so we don't have like a mayor. We have a board of supervisors, but I felt like this was the position that I could do the best at with things I know and my support system and the things that I learn and all the experience that I bring into this background. I felt like this was the position that I could be the most effective.
And I forgot to ask you this. Tell everyone what party you are running under.
I'm the Green Party candidate.
And that I want to make sure we all know this. I don't mean to be petty because sometimes I can be. But there's not a lot of African Americans running under the Green Party. And it always does me good when I can interview somebody with the Green Party that looks like me, and it always does my heart good. But what I wanted to ask is, talk about your because I'm sure you're not running unopposed.
Right.
Talk about the main two candidates and the differences between them and you, and what makes you better than they are for the office.
Well, the incumbent, his name is Jeremy England. What makes me better prepared than him is because he ran unopposed last time. And what makes me better and better prepared for this position is that I plan to do a better job. Those holes in those ways that he voted last time to allow the Southern Company and to just kind of run roughshod through here, and the situation with Chevron over in Pascagoula, Mississippi, burning pyrolysis plastic, and the people in the Cherokee community are getting poisoned and they're dying. I mean, it's like 26 people in the past 3.5 years have passed away from some sort of cancer from Chevron in that area. And the mayor of Pascagoula and my opponent, Jeremy England, they're opposed to giving these people an equitable buyout. They think these people should sell their land, sell their property to somebody else, so that somebody else can come live in this poison environment instead of holding Chevron accountable. So that's one thing.
Is that the Democrat or the Republican?
He is the Republican.
Okay.
Here in Mississippi, we live in a Republican supermajority is what folks refer to it as. We have Republicans holding every single office pretty much that comes up. I know a brother who is a Green Party alderman in New Augusta, Mississippi. His name is John Proctor. But he's the only other Green Party person, and Democrats are few and far between in Mississippi.
So is there a Democrat running for this office?
No, there's not. There's not a Democrat running for this office.
Oh, so it's just you and the Republican.
Well, we have a Libertarian candidate.
Oh, okay. So there is another one. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And she's and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to her or anything, but I don't remember her name right off the top of my head. I was getting ready for football practice a little while ago. But she's a Libertarian candidate.
And do you know anything about her background or what makes you different from her?
Well, I read a little bit on her background, and from what I could tell, one thing that makes us different is that I'm from here. And I'll say I'm from here. My family goes back on paper to 1735 on here. I go back to generations here. And so I've watched not just Van Cleve, but Jackson County, grow and unfold into what it is today. I see lots of potential. I see I think I can navigate here because I know the area. I know the people. I'm one of the people, So I think that's what makes me more qualified than her.
What makes Because I've been telling people, although I may sound like a hypocrite, I know everybody's gonna say you're a hypocrite. I have told, encourage people like yourself to run at the local level because that's where I think the power is. I think that's where you can make the biggest difference. Although I would probably never do it myself, I still think it's very important to do that. Talk about the difference that you can make for running for this office as opposed to, I don't know, United States senator or governor or go all the way up president. What difference can you make at the local community that can impact that community itself?
Well, one difference that I bring to the table is that I do a lot of work in my community as far as um, social justice type work, climate justice type work. We do food sovereignty type work with my personal nonprofit that I was running, Cosmic Poetry Sanctuary, um, and some things that I can affect here locally. There are certain things that we need here in South Mississippi, in Jackson County specifically. We need to pay attention to detail. Okay, like one thing is that driveways that are 250 feet long or less, those need to be paved. There's money in our county budget that could get that job done. Now, whether or not somebody other than me decided to spend it that way, that's a decision like that. But I know the folks in the community personally need those things. They need the roads, the driveways, the access to lakes and ponds, so that we can increase tourism, and so that folks will want to come and visit, because South Mississippi is beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been here before. We're around the Gulf Coast. It's beautiful. And when it comes to that kind of tourism and people, the pride in the beauty, it's lacking. And that's because the land stewardship by the county has kind of fallen off. And so little things like that, little attention to detail like that in communities, because I believe that how you grow the big picture is to focus on those having solid communities along the way. And I just want to make sure that my community is a solid link in that chain.
That's a great point, and I never thought of it like that. So many times we get distracted. The presidential campaign has kicked off way earlier than we've ever seen it kick off before, and we get so distracted by that we forget about the town councils and the city council meetings. And I know you all don't have a mayor, but we kind of get distracted, and like we need roads, and we need we need lights on our street lights to work properly, and
Right.
those type of things, and education for our children, and those type of things. um I do want you to talk about, and I don't know, like as I said, I don't like to write my questions down because I always get distracted by what someone actually says, and you said something that again got me distracted. Talk about the it sounds like you made the decision pretty quickly to enter into the race. Um, and when you made what made you say, okay, I should do this now as opposed to 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I don't know how the rotation goes and how many times that the state senator is up for reelection.
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked me that. Well, because I work with big groups for climate justice and food sovereignty on behalf of the people, big nonprofits and big organizations from not just nationally, but that focus on the Southeast region, and some of them focus specifically on Mississippi. And we have issues with food sovereignty here, and affordable housing, and um, and equitable disaster recovery. We have an issue with those things. And I'm plugged into a network of people right now that focus on the region, focus on places like South Mississippi. And we have lots of we call them in the jargon in the business, best practices. We have lots of ideas for solutions that we can help connect the people with the information so that the people can make good decisions based on their community. And it wasn't necessarily a quick decision to get into this race. But there is a sense of urgency. I'm not going to front. There is a sense of urgency because of Joe Biden opening up the floodgates pretty much for folks to drill out in the Gulf. We knew that was coming. We knew that.
No, he didn't. He said he wouldn't do.
Well, come on.
I'm trying to behave. I'm trying so hard. This is about you, not me. This is about you, not me. Continue.
Right. He said he wouldn't, but I'll take that back. I had a feeling that he would not stick to that promise. Because I knew the brother was going to try to get reelected, and that's a way to touch his conservative base, is to not to put profits before people. And I think in my county, we're tired of being put behind profits. We in my community, we are tired of people that don't live here from the outside in, telling us what's best for us. And what I'd like to do is amplify the voice of my community and make it solid, make it strong, so that we can, so that in Jackson County, we can have Jackson County how the citizens want it, as opposed to building something for somebody else's interest.
And the reason I asked that question, and this is unusual because I've never heard of a Democrat not seeking an office. That I'm like, okay, let me get this in my head. Because so often when you're, especially in the Green Party, I'm not in the Libertarian Party, I'm not in the Constitutional Party, I'm not in any of those third parties, so I don't know how they work. But I know when a Green Party candidate runs, even Dr. West's campaign, you hear this adage, now is not the time. And I'm going to be nice and say it irks me because I have a no cussing rule on my own platform and I don't want to break my own rule. But again, I always wonder when is the time. And so you said that, you didn't come to this decision quickly, but you recognize if I don't do something now, it may never happen. And I think that's so important, is to recognize that it's now, it's not. And people say that, they always irritate me because they never define what the time is. They can never say, okay, it's December the 2nd, 2027. No, it's just, it's a way to push third parties out. If you just keep saying, now is not the time, now it's not the time. No, the time is now. And especially the way that our environment is. And I want to talk more about your environmental work, because when we talked, you were headed to New York State.
Yeah, right. To Manhattan for the march on March.
I completely missed that. I mean, I know I couldn't have made it because airline tickets are too much. I can't drive anywhere more than an hour before I'm just like conked out. But you actually drove from Mississippi to New York. Is that correct?
Well, I flew there.
Oh, you flew there. I was going to say,
I flew.
He drove all the way from there to there. Talk about that march and what happened there and what did you come away with?
I will never forget that. It was a glimpse. To me, it was a glimpse on how the people win. Because they were expecting when I say they, I mean the city, the folks who were expecting the march. They were expecting around 10,000 people. Around 75,000 people showed up. And that was the voice that needs to be amplified, is because all these people came from different communities across the country who are all dealing with the same problems behind fossil fuels, and how fossil fuels are polluting their communities, and how big energy is keeping the people disconnected from real information. Because here, and even in this market, we have media companies, but they all take big donations from Southern Company, Mississippi Power, and the like, the energy companies. So they don't give accurate information about what they're really doing. Like, for example, Southern companies manage to release put 5 times the legal amount of lithium in the water, the groundwater here in Jackson County. And whenever they were held accountable by the EPA, they sued the EPA and raised everybody's power bills to pay their attorney fees. Most people don't know that, because here in the media, you hear stories like, well, here's 5 ways to save on your energy bill. But we never hear about why your energy is going up in the first place, why your power bill is going up in the first place. And so with going back to the March to End Fossil Fuels, we find out that that's not just happening in my community, that's happening all over the country. And it's especially happening here in the Southeast region, in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas, because those are big energy hubs for oil and natural gas and things like that. So I'll never forget that. I will never forget how many people were there, just so passionate about doing something, about being seen, being heard, and getting that message back to their communities. And it wasn't just, the energy companies, but the people who fund these energy companies, people like BlackRock and Bank of America. We have to hold these people accountable. I mean, when in a capitalist society, it's hard to imagine pushing against the people that feed you, the people that sign your paychecks. But we have to change. If not, then these people are going to pay us, but they're going to kill us. So it
seems like they're comfortable destroying the planet that they live on. I'm like,
right.
See, you live here too, so you might not want to poison the water, because they may not be drinking that water. Let me backtrack, because they probably don't.
They're not drinking that water.
But I'm like,
I went to the Southern Company.
Yeah, go ahead.
I went to the Southern Company shareholder meeting back in it was earlier this year. And I was there because somebody who had shares of Southern Company allowed me to come and attend on their behalf. And it was one of the most arrogant displays of people with money that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they blatantly didn't tell the truth about cutting off people's power during the pandemic. We had proof that newspaper articles and actual people that were, that had their power cut off during the pandemic. And they said, no, we didn't do that.
So they cut it off themselves. That's what they're saying. That's the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It almost makes me want to run. I have a whole series of problems why I won't, but that's a whole different video.
But that's why that March to End Fossil Fuels was so intense, though.
I wish I had known about
it. 75,000 people there, who most of them sponsored their own way there to be there and be present. And 75,000 people there that are aware of this, and 75,000 people that could take this back into the communities and spread the word, and so that we can turn that 75,000 into a lot more. And that's how the people win. And then Dr. West was there, and of course he spoke, and it was just, man, it was great.
I forgot he was there. See, I knew the PSL candidate for president. I know she was there. That's how I eventually finally heard about it, because somehow I got on their mailing list. I'm like, oh, we're going to be here. And I'm like, how come nobody told me about this? Not that I could have made it, but again, I would at least like to say, hey, this is my goal. I want to talk about some of the we'll talk about legislation here in just a moment. I would talk about more of the daily operations of your campaign. Do you have a group of volunteers, or is this just a one-person operation at this point?
I have a few volunteers, but we're all pretty busy, and we live in South Mississippi, so we have to go to work. Mississippi is the poorest state in the union, so and it reflects here on the coast. I mean, I'm not, but so we have to go to work. But I have a few people who volunteer time when they can. Most of the time, it's me and my daughter and a few friends, and I get out every single day, and I try to strike up conversations with people and let them know my platform and what I'm doing, and if they have any questions or comments or concerns, and that they would like for me to address for them, um, then that's what I do. And then also I move around and I, like when I was going to New York, I didn't just go to be present at the March to End Fossil Fuels. I went to learn. Because in a place like that, you know, people dealing with the same issues, they have some good ideas as far as solutions go. And so I plan to bring those back home and share those with my community and see if we can't implement some of those things. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got off subject. What was the question?
That's okay. That's okay. No, you actually did answer it. So here's the other question I had. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. So when you decide to run, I don't know if Mississippi is a signature gathering state like Indiana, where you have to gather so many signatures, or do you pay a fee and then you're on the ballot immediately? How is your campaign planning on obtaining ballot access?
Okay, well, well, here in Mississippi, we you know, I had to get permission from the Green Party of Mississippi, and so we got together. I paid my fee, and I got my name on the ballot, and so then I started campaigning. But I had to meet with the Green Party of Mississippi first to be I guess be approved, you know, to make sure that I was the guy that they wanted to represent them.
Every state ballot access is different. I don't know why. I don't even want to talk about Indiana, because that I could literally spend. We have to gather 37,000 signatures, and it's always 2% of whatever the last Secretary of State's office is. So whatever they got, we got to get 2%, and those signatures are not easy to get. Most of them get thrown out, so you got to get more. I feel so good when I talk to people like your candidacy. All you had to do was pay a fee, which I'm assuming it couldn't have been that much because you paid it. It wasn't like they said $2,500. You get on the ballot. You're like, wait, I don't have. It was.
That's how they keep That's how they keep people out. You know, that's how they keep people who are really going to do things out.
Yeah, but you just had to pay a small fee, whatever that was, and you're on the ballot. You don't have to worry about petitioning. You don't have to worry about signatures getting thrown out. You don't have to worry about those things. Here's what I would like for you to answer, though. Because as much as you know, I'm green all the way. I'm here for the Green Party. I support the Green Party all the time. What do you say to someone who is and we'll talk about your ideas for a better climate here in a couple of moments. But what do you say to that person that says, no, I think you should leave well enough alone. I think, everything is fine the way it is. Sure, it's a little hot, but that doesn't have anything to do with gas emissions. Or, what do you say to that person that is like vehemently opposed to what you're doing?
Oh man, that's a good question. Well,
I'm pretty sure you've ran into someone that said, well, it's fine the way it is.
I have. And then what I ask people to do is, think about the entirety of the Gulf Coast. Look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. We are on the bottom. We're underachieving here in South Mississippi, and that's not just Artis. Because I live here. I love this place. I want it to do better. I live here. My family is here. But the numbers don't lie. And also the science don't lie. And these are when it comes to the effects of fossil fuels in a place like this, we can see the Gulf Coast deteriorating. We had so much coast now, and now we don't have so much. We can see the barrier islands. We can see the barrier islands out in the Gulf different now. We know what happens whenever there's an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico and everybody's afraid to come here. We know what happens when we have to go through that. I lost my career as a radio announcer. Well, lost my job as a radio announcer back in 2010. I went back later on, but it wasn't the same, because of the BP oil spill. We know what happens with things like that. The risk is too high to keep on doing what we're doing. And if we don't change now, then it's going to be too late to change soon. And I think that strikes a nerve with some people because, you know, those things are facts. Those aren't feelings. Those are facts. Here on the coast in Jackson County, we went through all those things together, you know, and it was tough during the oil, but the months after, well, the years after the oil spill, it was rough for all of us here in South Mississippi. And our government expects us to have this like quick amnesia type thing, but we don't want to take a risk like that again. Not to make somebody else some money, to build somebody else's dream. We'd like to take it and focus on our own dreams now, and not take those kind of risks.
And again, to the audience, if you have any questions of our guests tonight, you can definitely put them in the comment section. I see people watching, but I don't see any questions yet, so I'll keep asking them. But of course, you know, I always invite my audience to put questions in the comment section so that we can have a great discussion. I usually save this question for the end, but I'm going to ask it now. What is the hardest part about campaigning?
Oh man, sorry about that. The hardest part about campaigning is, I'm gonna be blunt with you. I live in South Mississippi. Okay. The hardest part about campaigning for me has been Negrophobia. Walking up to somebody and trying to start a conversation with them. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing a suit and tie. It doesn't matter. Now, this isn't everybody because, you know, there is no monolith. I mean, amongst people aren't all the same. But sometimes it's discouraging whenever somebody doesn't want to talk to me, and I can tell it's because of how I look as opposed to, you know, some other thing. Because we're all on the same page. We all live in the same community. What affects me affects you. You know, let's have an intelligent conversation about how we can make the community better. That bothers me a little bit, you know, because I am a Black person running for a state office. Folks feel that, you know, folks are still kind of there's a certain segment of the population that is hung up on the flag, Mississippi flag being changed. That's progress. That has nothing to do with, you know, our community. That's state progress. The state took care of that themselves because they felt like it was in the best interest of the state. But, you know, things like that, when that's the hardest thing that I've come across is just people who maybe a little bit bigoted, but, you know, I don't run into that much, but I do run into that.
That is probably, and I don't know, what is the racial component of the area that you live in? Like, what, you know, Black versus Latino versus white? What is the racial makeup?
Okay. Well, it's about, I guess it's about 20% Black, maybe. Let me see. Let me look it up for you real fast. I don't want to give you any bad numbers, okay? My phone keep on falling down. You know. I'm gonna get you some numbers real fast, okay? And so that I don't give you any bad information.
Because I can guess, but I think my guess is going to be wrong.
I'm thinking it's about 15% Black, and then maybe 65 or 70% white. But and then, you know, the Latin community is growing really big time here in Jackson County. Let's see. Hey, Wikipedia.
Okay. And while he's looking, subscribe.
64%. That was a good plug. 64%, 64.84% white, 20.74% Black, 0.4% Native American, 2.2% Asian, 0.06 Pacific Islander, 7.2%, 7.02% Latino or Hispanic is what Wikipedia has, and at other mixed is 4.73%.
Yeah, that black rate was a little bit higher than I thought, because I would have guessed 9 to 10. I said, oh, 9 to 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, this is Mississippi, you know.
Because you're not near Jackson, right? Because Jackson's the state capital. You're closer to like the lower part, because you're near the coastline. You're on the coastline.
Right. I'm on the coast. I'm on the coast.
So we finally got a question here from, let's see, XX. How do you intend to bring in more federal dollars allocated to here? So I'm assuming he's also from Mississippi, because he said here.
Oh, thank you. I'm thank you for that question, brother. Well, one way is we have to ask for them. We have to solicit for them. We have to participate when the federal government tries to assist Mississippi, and not say no. We have to have our proposals together. We have to have our information good, and connect with the people to basically put proposals together and ask. That's basically how we get federal dollars into Mississippi, is we identify where we need it and go and get it.
And a follow-up question from XX. How do you intend to get more federal, I think he means federal dollars allocated here, and more investment, but you already answered that question. So I want to talk about the race itself. When is the election going to be held?
The election is November 7th.
2023?
2023, yes.
Okay, so it's this year. Okay, I'm like, well,
right.
Wait a minute. Okay, so how, I don't know if you, oh boy, I could ask this question. Do you know where you stand in terms of, are there any polls out for you, or is there any type of data that tells you where you're standing at right now?
Well, I haven't seen any pollings. I haven't seen any polls. But from the response that I'm getting in the public, and some of the conversations that I've been having on a regular basis with different people out in the community, people are recognizing that there's another candidate in this race that wants to do better. I've plastered the place with my signs and stuff, pretty much, you know, with as much campaign finance as I can raise as a Green Party candidate, you know. But I think that we stand a pretty good chance of winning. We really do. So much so that I've been getting some slanderous emails to myself and people that I deal with that are obviously intended to affect people's opinions of me. So people don't do that kind of stuff unless they feel threatened. So I feel like we're doing okay.
Yep, that's how you go from your vote. And see, you are fortunate. I hate to use the word fortunate because I don't believe in fortunes, but you're in a good position because you don't have to hear from the Democratic Party. You running takes away a vote from me and gives it to you don't have to hear any of that. All you have is the Libertarian and the Republican to run against, and that's all the worry that you have. And I think that's a great position. I'm just surprised that they wouldn't run, because literally every office here, and I don't know, Indiana is not similar to Mississippi, but if it's newspaper opener, if it's an election, there's going to be a Democrat run for it. I've never seen an officer like, we'll skip that one.
Mm-hmm. It surprised me too. It surprised me too. And well, the fact this brother ran unopposed last time, Jeremy England ran unopposed last time, for a state Senate office, that kind of blew my mind a little bit too.
You know, that doesn't shock me. I was reading a couple of weeks ago a study that said that most state candidates run unopposed. Mm. That's actually a normal thing. It shouldn't be, but it's a very normal thing. Where at this point, I'm like, it doesn't shock me, because people are so, they're busy, they're detached. They look, like I said, we look at the presidential, but we don't realize that local level is where you get to see power really exercise.
Right, right. And I feel like that the fact that he ran unopposed last time just echoes what I was saying a little while ago about the citizens here in Jackson County. They may not necessarily be all the way informed about how important this position is, you know, and what kind of decisions actually get made from this cat's position, from this senator of District 51.
Okay, so we got another question from XX. And by the way, XX, you can always subscribe to the channel. But what are a couple of the incumbent shortfalls that you think you can do better at, and what's your plan? I think you talked about this at the beginning, but you can talk about it again, obviously.
Right. Thanks, XX. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Well, one thing that I was saying earlier is the situation with the energy companies here being able to do whatever they want to, pretty much, and the decisions that are made from the position of Senator of District 51 seem to support energy companies and big energy more than they support the community. It seems like the community is always getting the short end of the stick. So I know that I can do better with that in particular. And not just Southern Company and not just Chevron, but we do a pretty good. We're poisoning the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, and it's starting to show in the drinking water in Gaucher. It's starting to show in the drinking water in Moss Point. Moss Point's had bad drinking water for a long time. And then Pascagoula, and I think the citizens are starting to put two and two together. Well, we've known, but we're starting to put two and two together on how to push back against the people who are putting us under these conditions.
And I can imagine if fishing, or I don't know what they call the industry, but I'm going to call it fishing because that's the only name that I know for it. Mm-hmm. That's going to affect like things that fisher people. I don't know what it's
Fishermen,
called.
but you're exactly right.
It's going to affect that too, because now you're eating that poison. It's in the fish. You go buy the fish. Now when you're drinking it, you're eating it and you're expelling it.
Mm-hmm. Now check this. I'm glad you brought that up because the Gulf of Mexico is vital to how we conduct life here, how we live on the coast. That's our most valuable resource right here on the Gulf Coast is the Gulf of Mexico, and my friend owns an oyster farm, and I invested and I help him out with his oyster farm. So I guess I'm part owner in the business, but we've had issues with the oyster farm in the Gulf of Mexico because of runoff from the Mississippi River, messing up the balance between the fresh water and the salt water, and then the oil spills from different oil issues from different rigs that are out there. And that's not just us. We're small oystermen. We have a small operation, but we see those big companies out there who can't be doing well. And if they're having any kind of success, the people aren't benefiting. If they're having to go through all of these things in order to have a successful harvest, then the people don't benefit. And in order to guarantee that the Gulf of Mexico, which is our most valuable resource here, we have to seriously address the issues with drilling and with how they get oil out of the Gulf of Mexico.
And I don't think, even I don't realize it because I live nowhere near a body of water. But I can't imagine waking up every day being drilled in the literal ocean. That whole concept is kind of like it's not. I know it happens because you're telling me it happens, but it's not getting in my head because I'm like, wait a minute, they actually drill in the ocean? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The
oil is there too?
Yeah, in the Gulf of Mexico. It's one of the biggest oil reserves.
Okay, I know everybody's gonna be like, how dumb can she be? But I'm just seriously sitting here like, wait a minute, so they got this big whatever it is, and then they dig down. So they're digging on the ocean floor, and then they're drilling for oil. Right. Yeah, there's gonna be spillage. Because I can't imagine that when you drill for oil in normal places, and it sprouts up, it goes kind of everywhere. I can't imagine that not happening in the
That's
ocean.
exactly what happened. That's exactly
Okay,
what happened
this
in
is like it's like
2010.
wait a minute, let me make sure I'm understanding this because I don't think I was. I mean, I got it, but then I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me think about this because they're
Hmm.
drilling the water, they're drilling in the actual ocean floor. They're ruining whatever environment there was. I mean, they're literally ruining it. Um, and I'm just, oh wow, I can't even get my next question together because now I'm just like, oh, now I finally understand it because I'm
Hmm.
like, huh, what? They're actually doing that because I think of back in the day when we saw the movies and they were drilling for oil and it just like sprouted up everywhere and it would just
Right.
go all over.
Right.
Oh my goodness! So then they got to bring another boat out there to get that oil. Okay, and then they got to take it to the refinery. Okay,
Right.
okay.
Right.
I mean, I realized it, but now I'm just like, oh, that's what you're saying. See, I'm glad you're on here. Another
Yeah.
question from XX, and it's coming up here. Do you have a first 100-day in office agenda, and what does that include? That's a good question.
Okay. Thank you, X. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you listening, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. Um, well, one plan that I have is, like I was mentioning earlier about the driveways and the access to ponds and ponds and lakes. I think those things need to be addressed off top because those things are things that the citizens need. The people need to help the community, to help attract money to the community, to help them save money as far as maintenance on vehicles and things like that from having bad driveways and bad roads. We live in a really rural community. My driveway is about maybe 200 feet long, and I'm not the only one, in this area. So those kinds of those things need to be addressed. And in doing that, if we can make it more appealing, clean it up a little bit, that I think in the long run, that's going to mean more people visiting, um, and saying, "Wow, this place is beautiful," which is going to encourage more people to visit, which is going to mean more money for all the people who work in the tourism industry around here, which is big business here in South Mississippi. And that's, first things first, we have to take care of our regular citizens who need some assistance.
Renewable energy. I have to ask you about it.
Mhm.
Um, there's two trains of thoughts about renewable energy.
Okay.
There's the solar power, which I've never seen one. I have never seen a solar power car ever. I'm sure they exist somewhere, and I'm not sure about them. And there's the more electricity powered cars that you see, like the Teslas and even the hybrids coming out. How comfortable are you supporting one option over the other, or are you just supporting either as long as it's not gas oil based?
Well, I do not support oil and gas. Okay. Now, I don't support extractive economies, period. But there's steps to this. Okay.
Okay.
Right now, our worst issue is oil and natural gas drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, especially. So we have to stop doing that. Now, solar panels, they're not free of its problems either. I mean, those are still part of an extractive economy. They have to go into and get that lithium out of the ground somewhere, and it's disturbing the earth, and it's disturbing. It's not the same effect as drilling for oil, but it is an extractive economy, and it is not good for the planet or the people. But it's the better option right now over oil. And just like how we had, just like how music was a long time ago, this happens in steps. We don't have like a solution right now, like a end all. This is the answer for now and forever. I don't think one of those exists right now. But if there is, somebody please let me know. But just like how music went from reel to reel to records to 8 tracks, CD,
CD.
cassettes eventually, so there's steps to this, so I feel like the next step is to get off of fossil fuels. That's the next step. and move in the right direction towards a solution. Like right now we have digital music. You know, one day we will have the equivalent of free music in the form of free energy. And that's how it should be.
What about you mentioned utility company. This is an issue that's really close to my heart. We have, especially in I'm sure it's happening around the country, where utility companies are just cutting off people's electricity. There's people who, like myself, we have to have medications that require refrigeration. What would you propose to make that type of thing? Well, I'm just gonna say stop.
Um, um, I would propose it. Excuse me. I would propose that that be made illegal. You know, there are some people. There's there's a certain segment of the population that we have to take care of as good human beings, and for those of us who don't want to be good human beings, those of us that do, we have to make up the slack. You know, we can't just stand around and say, oh, they don't want to be a good human being. You know, we have to do a little bit more because we can't, you know. But I think that those people need special attention. Now, if it's just somebody who's not, but a person in a situation where they're medically unable to pay their bills and they can't, there needs to be something in place for somebody to support them. There needs to be a, you know, government funds allocated for that. But the energy companies, we have to reach some sort of agreement so they can't be predatory on people like that. Because it's they have a bully. You know, they're the only gig in town. The energy company, Mississippi Power. You know, if there's a smaller energy co-op, they buy energy from Mississippi Power and then sell it to us. You know, so yeah, we have to stop that. And that's another thing about these extractive economies. You know, if they have an issue with their natural gas, on how they produce electricity, or their coal, on how they produce electricity, if they have an issue with that, and if they spend a few dollars going up, they pass that price, they pass that along to the consumer. And that's not fair. We shouldn't have to pay their bills. You know, I mean, that whole thing is predatory.
And the reason I asked that question is because, you know, despite some administrations saying, you know, inflation is low, things cost more. Food costs more. Gas costs more. Cars cost more. Mortgage rates are 7.5%. So it seems to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this or you disagree, that it doesn't make sense for utility companies, one, to just keep raising the rates the way that they are, with no pushback, with no type of thing, and to turn around and turn off utilities, because even the best person with full intentions of paying their bill, we're all struggling. I don't know anybody that's not struggling.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's not struggling with you know, with the energy company. You know, Mississippi Power raised our power bills 3 times last year. It's one of those things where, you know, we have to take these steps now. We really have to, in order to get off fossil fuels, because that's what's causing all of these problems with inflation. Is, you know, the difference between facts and feelings. All right, fact is the numbers don't lie, and the numbers say that inflation is going up. The cost of everything is going up, but at the same time, these energy companies are having record profits. So that's the problem.
That's why I asked the question, because I'm looking at, I don't know, well, I know what it is in my state. They say, you know, we want to go up on the bills. And then the state, because they're controlled by the state, and the state is like the watchdog, they are not. They've never been told they can't raise the rates. Never. I don't remember it. I don't know if it's ever happened. It's so.
The public service commissions. That's where that fault lies. The public service commissions.
It's like, are they on the tape? I don't know what makes a servant, a public servant, an elected official say, you know what? Yes, raise my rates. Maybe because they can afford it. But I know, like I said, I don't know anybody that's not struggling. I could literally turn off every light in here, and I
Well,
still my next month's bill will still be about $200.
right, right. I mean, and if you look at the makeup of the public service commissions around the country, not just here in South Mississippi, around the country, they're energy people. They're former energy company employees or former energy company lobbyists or some sort of a connection and loyalty to the energy companies. And that's one thing that we have to change here. You know, and that's another thing that is that I don't think the average citizen would allow themselves to be taken advantage of that way. But the fact that sometimes we're misinformed, we don't know, we don't get good information, or that information is left out of the conversation, that's a big part of the problem. So a
Yeah,
more informed
right.
constituency is definitely how we win that battle.
I mean, it's a purposeful thing. You talked about the media very well. The media suppresses this information. They're not telling you. They're telling you, oh, here's a way you can save off of your light bill, but they don't tell you, hey, this company ours is called AES. Why are they raising it? What are they doing? Like they raised it, their profits have gone this way, but my income has gone downward.
Right.
How do you make record profits? You're saying your costs have gone up. You don't show it. You don't ever show your costs going up. So pretty much they're staying the same, but you're increasing rates, and you're having to turn all these utilities, which when you get your utilities cut off, you have to pay a fee to get them on.
Reconnection fee, you gotta pay
So it's
that
like you
too.
got to pay a reconnection fee. AES makes you pay a deposit. So you're paying a deposit and a reconnection fee. How? I don't know. Like, this is why I'm asking this question. How can a public, how do they sleep at night? There's no way I could do this. There's no way I could say, you know what? Yeah, raise the rates. That makes sense. I was like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And then to just tell people, oh, you can save $5 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but who's going to
Here's
get
the
the
say.
reconnection fee?
Right.
Oh, I think XX has another question. What can you do to advocate for greater accountability and competence in our public administration's offices here? For example, video recorded hearings in courts.
Oh yes, yes. I'm a firm believer in accountability. I think that the constituency should be informed on every decision that I make on their behalf. And not just informed, I think that they should have the opportunity to influence my decisions directly, which means, you know, calling me or an email thread that a bunch of us that the county belongs to, a public conversation about the direction that the county's going, about decisions that are being made on behalf of the county. And I think that's a big problem right now, is because a lot of the decisions are made, I wouldn't say in secret, but just not with the informed, you know, just not without an informed public, you know, without a
Yeah.
public.
So I'm going to change the question totally and let's go back to the campaigns. I ask you what the most difficult thing about your campaign, what has been not the easiest, but what has given you the most joy in campaigning for this office that you're seeking?
The most joy, um, the most joy has been connecting with other folks from across the county who want who kind of who see the same issues, but didn't but they were like me before, didn't necessarily know how to push back. Um, the one thing I'm excited about is the people in District 51 who want to do better, who are willing to take a chance at doing something better, because what we've been doing for the past few years has not been benefiting us like we wanted to. And so that's one thing that's encouraging about South Mississippi. South Mississippi, we're fearless down here. You know, we're known to, you know, we've been known here to shake things up a little bit. And I think that the constituency is wanting to send a message to the structure, to the system, and say that we deserve better. And so that's one thing that's been encouraging. My daughter and I coach football, and we coach flag football for 7 to 8-year-old boys, and some of the conversations I have with some of the parents, you know, they echo some of those things in the community. They're like, well, you know, what can we do? And we all would know, most folks, we know that something should be done, but the thing is, what can we do? And I think that that's a good place to start. I'm encouraged by that.
Second to last question. If by some rigged election that you lose your seat, your chance for your seat, will you run again?
I don't know. I don't know. But from between that time and you know, if that happens, and between then and the next election, we may have found a better candidate. You know, we may support someone else. You know, somebody like you might run. You know, we'll all get behind you. You know,
I'm in Indiana and I'm not running.
But we never know what happens. You know, I believe in God. God is funny. You're not funny like ha funny, but like, I didn't expect you to do that. You know,
that one. Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
You know, so we, you know, I don't know if I'll run again. I never know what'll happen between now and then.
So here is the last question, and again, I said more than 45 minutes, and we've been at this for an hour.
And I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm always glad when people come on my little bitty channel, because it makes me feel like I'm doing something that is of good. What have you learned about yourself that you didn't know about yourself before getting into this campaign?
I learned that okay. Well, not that I've learned. This has been reiterated to me. You know, I guess I've learned it. So, but I can't always. I have to learn how to separate my feelings from my intentions, and what I feel like is my purpose. You know, I'm genuinely trying to support and help my community because I live here. And my family, like I said, my family goes back here to 1735 on paper, you know, much older than that, but on paper. I talk to the people in the community. And so the hardest thing about me is whenever somebody comes along to try to slander me, or somebody comes along to try to make me have a bad day, to discourage me from continuing on this path, I have to remember, I have to check myself. Hey, man, that's not you that they're attacking. You know, that's some sort of an idea. And it really has nothing to do with your good intentions, because if they could look inside of you, brother, and see what your intentions really are, they wouldn't feel like that. So I can't take those things personally. You know, that's one thing that I've learned.
Okay. And I said that was the last question. It is not. If someone wants to make a contribution to your campaign or follow you on social media, how do they connect to your campaign?
Okay, well, you can follow me on social media. My name is Artis Burney. So you can follow me on Facebook at Artis Burney. It has a picture of me with the Go Green for Senate in the background. I'm on Instagram at one Artis Romero. Romero used to be my radio tag when I was on air, so we kind of left it like that. And I didn't make any special campaign pages or social media things because I'm a real person from the community. You know, I don't need all of that. I don't need to pretend to be somebody else because I'm running for senator. I'm the same old artist. You know, so you'll see pictures of my family. You'll see pictures of my work, my travels. You know, and I'm also on TikTok, Artis Burney. I'm on Twitter at Artis Burney, and you can make contributions on Cash App at Cosmic Poetry, and also Venmo, Artis Burney. Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for doing this. I learned so much. I still can't believe I didn't realize how oil was drilled in the ocean. I'm like, oh, they just did it. So you taught me a lot. Thank you. So I want to make a quick announcement. You guys know I always base this show off of other people appearing. There will not be a guest next week because nobody's answering my emails. But I will go live Thursday. I'll probably make up some strange topic to talk about. But if you know of someone that is running for a third party office, you know what to do. You can email me at TRACYMediaLLC@gmail.com. I greatly appreciate XX who came in here with his questions. Thank you very much to the people who watch. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Again, subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you 10 million times. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.